Alright, hi everyone, welcome into another episode of Matt Sports Talk, and in this video I am going to be going over with you my official bracket prediction for all of the matchups going from the opening rounds that are going to start next weekend all the way through the national tournament championship game, which is going to be coming, I believe it'll be 2 weeks away 2 weeks away this coming Tuesday. So without further ado, we are going to dive into that, and I will be updating this after each individual round beginning next weekend, and for all the Crossroads League schools that have made the national tournament, as long as those schools remain in, I will be recording daily game recaps going over all of that. So make sure that you stay tuned for that. And in terms of future episodes I have planned, of course, those are the plans that I have in terms of upcoming episodes, especially recapping the national tournament games for just as long as the Crossroads League schools are in, as well as showing you my updated bracket after each individual round to show you how well I've done and all that good stuff. This is my second year in printing out a completed bracket and going over those predictions with you and updating after each individual round. So again, I'm super excited to share this content. So those are the episodes that I have planned for next weekend. I do want to mention also that I will be traveling down to Rio Grande, Ohio next Friday to support Indiana Wesleyan in their opening round matchup against the number 7 seed Cumberlands out of Kentucky. And I'm super excited about that, and we will be staying, my family, my mom and brother and I will all be staying in a local hotel down there, even though it's only about 3 hours away from here in Mount Vernon, Ohio. However, just because of in terms of the game schedule next Friday night, that's why we're going to be staying over. So again, super excited about getting down there for the very first time and being in that area for the very first time, and I haven't been to that part of the state in nearly 13 years, so super excited about that. Or actually, not quite 5 years ago, I stand corrected, being down in that part of Ohio. So again, super excited about that. So on next Saturday morning at our hotel, my episode that I have planned for that will be recapping all of the first round games for both the men and the women on the Crossroads League schools only, as well as showing you an updated view of my bracket after all the first round games are completed. So again, make sure that you stay tuned for that. At least that is the plan, and I really hope to be able to do that. And then next Sunday here at my normal recording location here in Mount Vernon, Ohio, is when I will be going over recapping all the second round action games for the Crossroads League schools that are still in the hunt on both the men and the women's side. So again, make sure you stay tuned for that. And then, of course, showing you my updated bracket after all the second round games are fully completed. So again, super excited about those episodes that I have planned for next weekend. It should be a lot of fun, that's for sure. So diving into my official bracket prediction, we are going to start on the right side of the bracket in the doer quadrant. 1, Bethel, Tennessee. 16, Talladega out of Alabama. I have Bethel of Tennessee. 8, Oregon Tech. 9, Huntington. I have Oregon Tech in that one. I know that may surprise some people, but with Huntington 1-7 in their last 8 games, I just don't think that they continue. I don't think they get back on track, especially because in 4 out of the last 8, they have lost by at least 10 points or more. And again, Oregon Tech plays in an excellent conference, very competitive in the Cascade. I went Oregon Tech in that one. 4, Lewis Clark State. 13, Hope International. I have Lewis Clark State in that one. Again, Lewis Clark, another great team out of the Cascade. 5, Montana Tech. 12, Nelson out of Texas. I have Montana Tech, especially because they upset Dakota State in the Frontier Conference Tournament. I think Montana Tech easily wins that game. 3, Lindsey Wilson. 14, Williams Baptist. I have Lindsey Wilson in that one. I've seen Lindsey Wilson play, at least virtually, quite a few times this year. They have an excellent playing style. They do a full court press. They like to run on offense. And I think the only way you beat them is if you slow them down. I don't think that happens in terms of Williams Baptist. I have Lindsey Wilson there. 6, Southeastern. 11, Faulkner. Half Southeastern in that one. They've only lost 2 or 3 games all year. I definitely think that continues. Southeastern prevails there. 2, Dakota Wesleyan. 15, St. Francis of Illinois. I have Dakota Wesleyan. Again, Dakota Wesleyan, they upset Dordt by 8 points in a GPAC Conference Tournament Championship game. Dakota Wesleyan should not have an issue there. 7, Eastern Oregon. 10, College of the Ozarks. Again, these 7-10s are a little bit more interesting to predict what will happen. Again, these 7-10s could go either way. Same with the 8-9s. But in this particular 7-10 matchup, I like Eastern Oregon in this game. I know College of the Ozarks, they were runners-up in the Sooner Athletic Conference Tournament to Mid-America Christian. But I do have Eastern Oregon prevailing here. Eastern Oregon, I know they're one of those teams, I think, that was 19-10 in the regular season. They play in the Cascade. Very tough conference. I went with Eastern Oregon there. 1 Marion, 16 Haskell Indian Nation. Marion all the way here. Marion, I think, will win by at least 40 points. 8 Columbia, 9 Carroll. Out of Montana in this pod, I have Columbia in this one. They've only lost, I believe, 1 game all year. They've been the best team out of the AMC, and I think they easily win that game over Carroll. 4 Evangel, 13 USAO. Evangel, easily Evangel. They've proven themselves to be one of the best teams in the KCAC this year. Evangel, I have winning there. 5 William Carey, 12 Shawnee State. I know Shawnee State, they could give them a little bit of a run. Shawnee comes out of the River States Conference. William Carey out of the Southern States. William Carey actually won the Southern States Conference as a 4 seed over UT Southern. So I definitely have William Carey in this one. 3 Tennessee Southern, 14 Northwestern out of Iowa in the Spring Arbor, Michigan pod. I have UT Southern here prevailing over Northwestern, even though Northwestern may give them a little bit of a run. However, I think that UT Southern will prevail in this one. 6 Spring Arbor, 11 Indiana Tech. I know this pick may surprise some people. I have Spring Arbor beating Indiana Tech. I think with Spring Arbor's very aggressive defensive playing style, I think that definitely helps them. Spring Arbor's the #1 team on defense. Really, they're in the top 5, I believe, nationally in the NAIA in terms of defensive pressure with forcing turnovers. They force 25 turnovers a game. I have Spring Arbor easily winning here, even though I think this game's going to be 10 points or less. 2 Campbellsville, 15 Bryan, Tennessee. Got Campbellsville in that one. I think Campbellsville is easily going to win this game. Campbellsville, I know they've kind of had an up and down year out of the Mid-South, but I think they easily win this one. 7 LSU Shreveport, 10 Benedictine out of Kansas. Again, Benedictine, they were the number 2 seed in the Hart Conference. And I have LSU Shreveport here. I know this pick may surprise some people. Shreveport plays in the Red River. They were the #1 seed in the Red River. They were the best team in that conference all year. That's why I went LSU Shreveport there. Your second round matchups, Bethel, Tennessee, Oregon Tech. I have Bethel of Tennessee winning that game. 4 Lewis Clark, 5 Montana Tech. This pick might surprise some people. I went with a mild upset. I have Montana Tech advancing to the Sweet 16 round in Sioux City. 3 Lindsey Wilson. 6 Southeastern, I have Lindsey Wilson. I think Lindsey Wilson, with their aggressive playing style, I think that gets it done against Southeastern. I have Lindsey Wilson going to the Sweet 16 in Sioux City, Iowa. And then 2 Dakota Wesleyan, 7 Eastern Oregon. I have Dakota Wesleyan here. They've proven themselves to be one of the best top 3 teams in the GPAC all year. They were the #2 seed in that conference. Dakota Wesleyan prevails there, and it also advances to Sioux City. 1 Marion, 8 Columbia. This was a super tough game. Columbia's for a really tough pick for me. Columbia's only lost 1 game all year. This one could honestly go either way, but I have Marion prevailing over Columbia, handing Columbia just their 2nd loss of this season. Marion advances to Sioux City, Iowa. 4 Evangel, 5 William Carey. I got Evangel in this one. I really think that Evangel is going to keep on with their amazing season that they're having. And again, I think they get the job done very narrowly. I think by 6 points or less over a very good William Carey team. 3 UT Southern, 6 Spring Arbor. I got Tennessee Southern prevailing over Spring Arbor. I think for UT Southern, they're one of the best teams in the Southern states, and I really think that UT Southern prevails here. I think it's going to be by 3 points or less, but I do have UT Southern in that one. 2 Campbellsville, 7 LSU Shreveport. Pretty easy pick for me here. Campbellsville, of course, Campbellsville advances to Sioux City, Iowa. They lost in the Sweet 16 round. I'm pretty sure it was the Sweet 16 round last year to Governor State. So I have Bethel, Tennessee, Montana Tech, Lindsey Wilson, Dakota Wesleyan, Marion, Evangel, UT Southern, and Campbellsville all advancing to the Sweet 16 round. And then in the Elite 8 round, the winners of those games, Bethel, Tennessee, Montana Tech, Bethel, Tennessee here. I think Bethel, Tennessee, they're one of the best teams in the Mid-South this year. And I know that I believe they advanced to the Elite 8 round last year before losing. I have them going to the Elite 8 round this year. And then Lindsey Wilson versus Dakota Wesleyan. This was a tough one for me. I went with Dakota Wesleyan beating Lindsey Wilson. Dakota Wesleyan advances to the Elite 8 round and plays Bethel of Tennessee. And again, these are just general predictions. This probably will not pan out this way. But this is just how I see things going. Again, it's just a prediction. I don't think this will happen. It may happen, it might not, but take this with a grain of salt. And then I have Marion versus Campbellsville in the Elite Eight round. I mentioned that earlier. Again, Marion, I think they're a team that could either lose early or go really far. However, I have them losing in the Elite Eight round to Campbellsville very narrowly. I think Campbellsville will win this game by 6 points or less. Campbellsville beats Marion and advances to the Final Four in that one. And then Dakota Wesleyan, and then of course I mentioned Dakota Wesleyan, they lose to Bethel of Tennessee in the Elite Eight. I have Bethel of Tennessee going to the Final Four. Marion, Campbellsville, I just mentioned that. I have Campbellsville in that one. So I have Bethel, Tennessee, and Campbellsville meeting up in the Final Four. This is the farthest that Bethel, Tennessee has gone. I believe they lost last year in the Elite Eight round. They advanced to the Final Four, in my opinion, this year. And again, this is just a prediction. It's going to change. This probably will not play out this way, but this is how I see that. So that is that side of the bracket. The left side of the bracket, we have 1 Freed-Hardman, 16 Rust. Freed-Hardman easily 8 Langston, 9 Bethel. This was a tough one for me, especially because now Langston, they lost to Texas Wesleyan, who was the 8 seed in the SAC tournament. And both those losses came, I believe, within the last week and a half of the regular season. Both came when Langston scoring under 70 points. And I think Bethel of Indiana gets the mild upset win here. I went Bethel. For Loyola, 13 Milligan, easy one there. Went with Loyola, even though Milligan has been a really good team out of the Appalachian all year long. I have Loyola prevailing here. 5 Georgetown, 12 Taylor. Got Georgetown here. They've been lights out at home this year. And Georgetown, I think, is just too much for Taylor. I have Georgetown prevailing there. 2 Dakota State, 14 seed Grandview. That did receive an automatic bid. And again, I wasn't totally sure on Grandview, but I completely forgot that they did get in. I originally, last night, thought that they did not get in, but they did. They're a 14 seed out of the Heart. I got Dakota State here. Dakota State, I think, easily will win this game by over 15 points. We have 6 Concordia, Nebraska, 11 Bethel, Kansas. I got Concordia, Nebraska here. They were the 3 seed in a GPAC conference this year, and I think they easily win that game by at least 10 points or more. 2 Rio Grande, 15 Rochester Christian. This is the site that I will be at next Friday night. Super, super excited about that before driving back here to Mount Vernon next Saturday morning. I have Rio Grande in this one. I think Rio Grande wins this game by at least 40 points. Rio averages nearly 100 points a game this year, holding their opponents only to 50. I think that holds true in this one. Rio Grande easily. 7 Cumberlands, 10 Iwu. Again, this was a really, really tough game for me. And again, I'm not trying to be biased in these videos. I try to be as professional as possible while making I try to be as accurate as possible in making these predictions. Again, I'm not going to be 100% correct. But in this game, I had to go Cumberlands in this game, and that's not because again, that's not because I'm trying to be biased or anything. I just think that for Cumberlands, they're an excellent team. I know they're 19-11 this year. They play in a super tough conference in the Mid-South. However, they do have a good amount of size that Indiana Wesleyan does not have this year. I think Cumberlands wins this game by at least 20 points. If it's less than 20 points, I think it'll be a big win for the Wildcats. I think for the Lady Wildcats, this is really kind of like a college credit plus course, so to speak, with getting some experience for all the younger players heading into next year when everybody knows that, or at least everybody hopes that they get back along the lines next year that they've been known to have for the last 6 years. But again, I think just the experience for Indiana Wesleyan this year, just getting there in a season that nobody expected them to be in even a month and a half ago. Again, just getting there for the Wildcats, I think it's a win nonetheless, regardless of what happens next Friday night. So those are my thoughts in that one. And then 1 Dordt, 16 Simpson. Dordt easily prevailing here. 8 Rocky Mountain, 9 Southern Oregon. I have Southern Oregon with the mild upset here only because Rocky Mountain lost in the opening round of their conference tournament, and it was by double digits. Southern Oregon, really, really good team out of the Cascade. I have Southern Oregon here. 4, Mid-America Naz. 13, St. Mary, both out of Kansas. 2 different conferences, though. Mid-America Naz out of the Heart. St. Mary out of the KCAC. I have Mid-America Nazarene here. 5, Mid-America Christian. 12, Olivet Nazarene. I have Olivet with the first big upset as a 12 seed. I just think they average 95 points a game. I think that that's just too much for Mid-America Christian to overcome, especially because Mid-America Christian, yeah, they won the Sooner Athletic Conference tournament title, but I just don't think they can keep up with Olivet's offensive scoring that they have, as well as their very aggressive defensive play with forcing turnovers and trapping deep in the backcourt. That's why I went with Olivet here. 3, Corbin. 14, Texas A&M San Antonio. Got Corbin here. 6, Friends. 11, Hastings. I have Friends prevailing here. I just think that for Hastings, yeah, they're a good team. Yeah, they compete in a very tough conference in the GPAC. I think Friends is just too much for them. I have Friends here. 2, St. Francis, Indiana. 15, Brescia. St. Francis of Indiana. No question about that. 7, College of Idaho. 10, Briarcliff. I know this pick might surprise some people. I didn't think Briarcliff would be in at first. However, they are. And I went against College of Idaho last year, and I just could not go against them again this year. I have College of Idaho beating Briarcliff. And then the second round matchups, who advances to Sioux City? 1, Freed Hardman. 1, Freed Hardman. 9, Bethel, Indiana. Got Freed Hardman there. Again, Freed Hardman, they're the number 1 overall seed. An excellent team. They're ranked in the top 10 in terms of offense all year. Freed Hardman easily wins that game. And then at 4, Loyola. 5, Georgetown. I have Georgetown with the mild upset here. I think Georgetown continues their really, really amazing performance at home. I think they've only lost 2 games at home all year. That continues as well here. I have Georgetown once again advancing to a Sweet 16, just like I did last year. At least I'm pretty sure I had them advancing to Sweet 16 last year. And then 3, Dakota State. 6, Concordia, Nebraska. I got Dakota State easily. Dakota State, I watched them play in their Frontier tournament. Excellent team. And yeah, they struggle on offense at times, but they're excellent on defense. They have a great amount of size in the low post. I have Dakota State here. 2, Rio Grande. 7, Cumberland's. Rio Grande here. Even though Cumberland's averages 75 points a game, Rio Grande averages 100. Again, I could not go against Rio Grande here. Rio Grande wins. They advance to the Sweet 16 round in Sioux City, Iowa. 1, Dordt. 9, Southern Oregon. Obviously, I went Dordt. They're the 2-time reigning national champions back-to-back. I could not go against them. I have Dordt in that one. 4, Mid-America Naz. 12, Olivet Nazarene. I have Mid-America Nazarene winning that game. And at Mid-America Nazarene advancing to the final site in Sioux City. I think that Mid-America Naz is able to slow down Olivet in the second round matchup. 3, Corbin. 6, Friends. I have Corbin in this one. Corbin won the Cascade regular season and conference tournament title. I could not go against them in this game. Corbin advances to the Sweet 16. St. Francis, Indiana. 7, College of Idaho. St. Francis at 2. I have St. Francis winning here over College of Idaho. St. Francis advances to the Sweet 16 round in Sioux City, Iowa. And then for your Sweet 16 matchups, 1, Freed Hardman. 5, Georgetown. Again, these 2 teams have met twice already this year, and I believe, yeah, Freed Hardman won both of those games, even though one of the 2, it came down to the wire only, I believe, by 1 point at Freed Hardman. I could not go against Freed Hardman in this game. I have Freed Hardman winning, advancing to the Elite 8. Then I have 3, Dakota State. 2, Rio Grande. This one was super tough for me, but I have Dakota State upsetting Rio Grande. Dakota State advances to the Elite 8 and plays Freed Hardman. 1, Dordt. 4, Mid-America Nazarene. Obviously, Dordt, no question in that matchup. Dordt advances to the Elite 8 round. 3, Corbin. 2, St. Francis out of Indiana. I went Corbin. And this one, Corbin advances to the Elite 8 and plays Dordt. And then the winners of that game, 1, Freed Hardman. As 3, Dakota State. I have Freed Hardman beating Dakota State. I have Freed Hardman going to the Final Four. 1, Dordt. 3, Corbin. Obviously, Dordt. I just cannot go against them, especially because they're the 2-time reigning national champions. You got Gracie Schoenhoven as well as Macy Sievers. And Willow Bleeker as far as that goes. I just cannot go against Dordt. I have Dordt advancing to the Final Four and playing Freed Hardman. And boy, if this does happen, and again, this is no guarantee that all this is going to happen, but if it does, boy, what a heck of a game that would be between Freed Hardman and Dordt. So my Final Four teams are Freed Hardman, Dordt, Campbellsville, and Bethel of Tennessee. Now, who wins between these teams advancing to the national title game? I have Campbellsville beating Bethel of Tennessee. I know Bethel, Tennessee had a great run. I think this is Campbellsville's year to at least make it to the national title game. I have Campbellsville going to the national title game. Who wins between Freed-Hardeman and Dort? This was a super, super tough game for me to think about. I thought about it for several minutes, and I know Freed-Hardeman, they're a top 10 offense. Dort, they're an excellent team. They've proven to be excellent this year. They only have 2 losses. I went with Dort. I have Dort winning by 2 points over Freed-Hardeman in the Final Four. Dort advances to the national title game for the 3rd straight year, and they play Campbellsville. So who wins between Dort and Campbellsville? Again, I think this is going to be 6 points or less in favor of Dort, so I have Dort as the national champion, going back to back to back and completing a historic three-peat in the national championship. Dort, your 2026 national champion. And that is my final prediction based on my tournament bracket. Again, I would love to hear your thoughts down below. So if you did enjoy it or want to share your thoughts, please either like, comment, or subscribe. Any options helps me out greatly. I truly appreciate any feedback that you may provide me. And if you are not already subscribed, please subscribe to my channel so you do not miss out on any of this important information over the next few weeks. We are here. We are here officially to the national tournament, and I cannot wait to dive into it, share amazing content with you, and be on the lookout next weekend. I mentioned that earlier for Matt Sports Talk on the road. Can't wait for that. Should be really, really exciting as well. Thanks so much for tuning into this video. Have a great rest of your day, and God bless. And I will see you next weekend for national tournament time on Matt Sports Talk. God bless.